Hello guys, how's it going? I don't know if it's me, but lately I feel extremely burned out. Like I had in mind to make some projects, to talk about some ideas, talk about a little bit more about philosophy. But lately I feel extremely heavy, and I suspect I may as well not be alone entirely on this one. Meaning that with the world where with the accessibility now that we have in news, that with all the wars, all the economic struggles, all the, I believe, people being more separate and divided than ever, and AI nonsense, all these things when you listen to them at the same time can be extremely overwhelming. And even for one of those things to consider them, well, it's kind of heavy. It's kind of heavy to the chest, at least for me. Because I want to be a guy where I can possibly help many other people. I don't know. I thought that with some of the views that I had based on the things that I've read in the past, mainly things when it comes on philosophy and how to live and how to be resilient when it comes to tough situations and life. Well, sometimes even people like me, a person who basically tries for themselves, things can be extremely heavy. And this is my current state. I do feel extreme weight on my chest. And things around the world seem to be going more on the bad end, the worst case scenario, rather than the scenarios that we rather have. And so the thing is, you either going to just ignore all of those things that basically do your own thing, and ignore everything else, or just, you know, keep your hopes up. Because if you see bad news after bad news after bad news, we're in an era where the most radical things are, that were ever about to happen are happening now. We, excuse me, the younger person someone is apparently now, the more we think about and we question about the systems and the work we do and how do people are going to make their lives and how we're going to make it, and why does everything we do today make sense? Why are we so typical? Why are we so, you know, others could say it as programmed, essentially to do one thing after another without any thought about upon that. And so I see that for the most part, most people around are really what we say NPC, non-playable characters, but not really. Sometimes that is as an insult to say that someone does not really think. Well, I think I'm a guy that when it comes to a new encounter with a new person, I had the chance to speak to them as if we can be potentially become friends. I do think that for almost most people I meet with that filter, right, I can make the start and basically make something interesting in a conversation and let them join in and say whatever or however they wanted. But the thing is that when even a person that basically tries to make connections and have relationships, even that person feels a lot, I should say, dragged in or low on energy, or does not really do it for them anymore the way it used to. Well, I don't know if I have, for example, to think something new about myself, or to think of a new way, or just it's just that time of us existing, meaning that that time period may as well be that kind in which does not allow me to think more clearly and have the same thrill and excitement I used to have with people. And this mess will be inside of my head only, and I wish that is the case. But I think that the more time passes, the more people of us are changing. Some of us are never going to question anything, and some people actually are asking the most fundamental things. I mean, the way we work, how do we work, if this is fair, if this is logical, if this is moral, or whatever. And I seem to be a person who now thinks that I really want to do some meaningful work, in the sense that I create something meaningful and beautiful for, now that I have the internet access to it, basically make it something worthwhile, and the work should be just for the art of it and make something beautiful, and convince more people that philosophizing things and reading about philosophy and basically really maneuver life out, really dig up your own wisdom, is the thing that I could convince anyone to do. And I think that this convinces me to do and speak more about those things in general, especially when I have them right in front of them. And so my hope is that this passion of mine, basically this love for wisdom and eye-opening moments, never dies, never fades away anyways. Uh, and so I think for myself, as a lucky person who basically find out some of their strengths and want to continue to talk about this as if that is part of me, meaning that the diet I do, the training I do, and the thinking I do are part basically of what I am. And a person that I am is a person that I basically found out basically the archetype of what I would want to be. And so, with a lot of thought, basically, people can either find their way, or circumstances have gone so damn hard and so busy, essentially, that too distracted, that we are basically too distracted to find out what's important and what isn't. And I think that most people are thinking more about this lately, that we should think more about what we're doing with our finite time that we have here, find out what's important to us, and basically do the things and speak to the people that matter the most. Exactly because there is a finite time, and the worst thing that someone could possibly experience is a life full of regrets. That we had the certain, guaranteed way of life in our minds when life after pension would probably come, and we were going to do then exactly what we want. Well, that's the age of what? 65, 70? Who knows after that what's going to happen? Who knows if pension is going to exist? Who knows if, I don't know, half of the human population may will not exist? And because everything now is so uncertain, the times are so frenzy, I should say, that people are most afraid or most lost. The younger generations basically have no meaning, have no sense of purpose like the previous generations had. I suspect that we are also more stressed, more lonely, more addicted, and we have enormous expectations to what? Basically fix the system. Well, tough times are coming up, and that isn't to say that we should be all given up and start crying like, I don't know, 20 or 30-year-old crybabies, right? Ironically, when it comes to all this, is adversity where basically challenges whatever wisdom we possess, and the adaptability that we must basically create for ourselves has to do with us competing with AI, with other people that are basically know the system way better and they're better off by themselves, and we are in societies where basically the food itself is not the food that we used to eat back then. And those things, even though they make life even though harder in almost every way, basically. And work is the same dull sometimes, and some people may as well find it completely waste of time, because there are other people that may as well enjoy their work a bit, like myself, for example. Um, some people really do not know what to do with their lives, and at the same time, they find it difficult, which is very human and very logical, to find ways to fill up that blank, that empty space in our chest or in our hearts on what we want to do and who we really are. I thought I could help a lot of people basically doing that, because when a person finds out their own passion, their own burning passion for life, it may as well turn out as just like a lighter out of nothing, that where you basically are in a way desperate, lonely, or painful, or sick in whatever ways, I wish basically none of those things ever come to anyone, because these are just suffering moments. But anyways, when people are at their lowest, basically, they are either going to accept it or they're just going to adapt in ways they didn't before, and basically that would change them. And so, for the most part, I suspect that most people want a calm, quiet life that has nothing to do with extreme hustling and extreme work and super duper sexy physique and extreme knowledge on philosophy, history, and whatever. And some people just exist deciding that they want a simple life. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. The thing is that the way we live right now is just normal life seems to be gone. Meaning that we no longer seem to have the same status that we had, I don't know, even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, someone could say. Life was completely different 10 years ago. People were a lot more peaceful, a lot more talkative, a lot more connected in a way. And the last 6 years, I can almost guarantee you, almost everyone agrees on this. Most people agree on this, that I have basically mentioned this. The 2020 quarantine and after that, basically, is where the entire shift of the entire human population basically changed. And we are more divided, more lonely, more, I don't know, more or less tolerable than others, than other people, based on that. And so that makes, of course, relationships even more hard, even though they were hard on their own. And the thing is that we're making it even more hard, basically, when we have social media, basically thinking to ourselves that we have this plethora of people, endless amount of people in our fingertips, and anyone can be our own partner or our own friend. And ironically, that is just illusion. No, you're more lonely, and basically, I see this for myself at least. Someone may as well be a lot more social and have a lot of people and friends inside their, I don't know, Instagram or Facebook account and be really that popular, but for the most part, it doesn't. And I have the impression that exactly because Instagram and Facebook seems to be so, how should I say this, that you continue to post basically things about yourself and about your life. Essentially, that privacy has become a lot more important to people these days, and that is inevitable and pretty logical if you ask me. And I suspect that that is a great reason to why people want a lot more peace and quiet, because A, the world is frenzy at at the moment we're talking about, for the reasons I just mentioned, for the wars, for the financial collapses and all those stuff. And because many people cannot stand their jobs, and basically they want to stay away from insufferable people, and they want a piece of quiet. And because exactly privacy seems to be something, I mean, not so unique as it was years ago. And the thing is that from this point onwards, it's probably gonna get worse. And I just made this video basically to say this about my own thoughts. I may as well do that from once in a while. And it can be as a form or it can be a form of an update basically. And at the same time, basically, either you should ignore absolutely everything and do your own thing, or just have hopes up for whatever the news just throws at us. And if there is basically never time for us to either be by ourselves in peace, or to either let us think for ourselves and either build something in our minds in the sense of learning and cultivating our own character, essentially, then yes, those things, life is gonna make everything seems more heavy or even impossible to deal with. And so my video basically would be, in the sense, I'm making this video basically because it is important for us to keep up. And when life gets harder, we basically need to adapt. And adapting is something that we haven't really learned, I believe, in such circumstances, right? Where everything is getting worse at the same time. But anyways, I think this is gonna be an update for now, and basically trying to find out for ourselves what's important to deal with, what's complete propaganda, what should be completely ignored. And for as long as we build, basically, we're building characters, or that we doing our own thing, and basically there are no distractions beyond that. That should be it. That should be our lives. Anyways, this is the small video for today. Appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye, and thank you.